Hello, and welcome to the Barbarian Philosopher Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jerome and Liron. This is episode 7, and I am joined by my co-host, Liron. In this episode, we will discuss Cerrone versus Masvidal, Anderson Silva calling out Conor McGregor, referees being allowed to check instant replays, and Emmett Tills' accuser admitting that she lied. Please be sure to subscribe and enjoy the show. Oh, man. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? You good?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. Cerrone versus Masvidal.
I mean, I just watched that right now. Cerrone looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and I get it, I think a lot of fighters, they love fighting 50% of the time, and then 50% of the time they just want to drink beer and fuck around and do other things.
Right.
And I totally get it, but if that's how you making your ends, then you're in trouble, because you can't just have an off day. You'll get the snobby out of you, and he did get the snobby out of you.
Yeah. Well, going into the fight, he was asked about Jorge Masvidal, and he's like, I don't know who he is. I haven't watched any of his fights. My coaches do that. I don't really care. I just happen to see, the end of one of his fights because it's all over the place. It's just the ending, but I really don't even know who the guy is. So it's like it's a double-edged sword in that part of the allure of somebody like a Donald Cerrone is that I don't give a fuck, I just want to fight attitude.
Yeah.
At the same time, though...
But that's the I don't give a fuck has to be contingent upon the second part, which is I just want to fight.
Right.
And he just had the first part and not the second part that day.
I wonder... I mean, that's definitely a possibility, and it's certainly something that happens. But I also just wonder if it's not a case of him... Like, just him underestimating and just not having... Like, he doesn't seem to be the game plan type.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this is a business.
Yeah.
And it would be very beneficial if this is how you're making your money, as you mentioned, especially considering the consequences of not doing this, to kind of plan things out and maybe take it a little bit more seriously as a business. You know?
It's a job, however you want to look at it, it's not just something that you do, it's your profession.
Right.
Sometimes it's not professional.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To be performing well below you have good days, you have bad days, someone gets a lucky punch. He wasn't anywhere near his potential, and it happens a lot with him.
Yep.
It's obviously partly mental. It's an attitude thing. I'm not gonna go and say he has a bad attitude. But I think he needs to work out the kinks in his mental game because he's way too unreliable. But the flip side of that is that you see this with a lot of great performers in general, MMA and in a wider picture, like just performers, entertainers. They do have these kind of roller coaster things, and sometimes they're on top of the world and then they're at the bottom of the ocean. Tyson was more of he wasn't inconsistent in the same way that Cerrone was, but if you look at his if you zoom out over his whole career, he was capable of the best boxing performance you've ever seen in your life, and also the worst boxing performance you've ever seen in life. That was one man, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Cerrone's kind of similar, except the weird thing about Cerrone is he'll have a great fight and then a shitty one and then a great one again and then a shitty one again. It's not like 5 good ones in a row, 4 good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Very.
Right.
Yeah, it's very
hit and miss.
Very hit and miss. So.
Yeah, it's so weird and it's so disappointing because, like, when Cerrone is on, Cerrone could be champ.
Yeah, I think the best 10 seconds of UFC I've seen was when he, I don't know who, I think Rick Story, when he knocked out Rick Story, was like a fucking video game. Like, it was poetry in motion. You can slow it down and watch it again and again and again and again. And then also just this last fight was, I mean...
Yeah, he seemed not flat-footed, but very overly stationary. Yeah. Like just standing kind of right in front of Masvidal.
Very little head movement.
Yeah, just not all the way alive. Like he wasn't all the way there.
Yeah.
You know, and I wonder if it's not a pressure issue. You know, some people...
This was in his hometown too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is in his hometown.
I'm wondering with him if because usually the fights where he chokes are the bigger fights.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm wondering if it's an issue of him mentally having a issue performing under a certain amount of pressure.
Which is incredible because he has so much experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually the biggest thing about experience is you say you learn to deal with pressure. That's like what experience is, almost the definition of experience. But he doesn't do that. You know, like like you said, like it looks like the pressure thing. It looks like in the big performance when it means very little, he's on fire. And then when it's for the belt, or again, like in this circumstance, in his hometown, everyone's watching, everyone wants him to win. There's just not that much there.
Yeah, it's really weird. Really weird.
And it's a shame because I really want to see him at the top level.
Yeah,
fighting for the belt against the top guys, and you know, performing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to take anything away from Masvidal. We spoke about Masvidal.
He did good. I think if you had to sum this fight up, the story of this fight was Masvidal's jab, and later in the fight, his coming over the top with that hook cross combination. That really was Masvidal flustered Cerrone throughout the majority of the fight with that jab, just kind of keeping him not allowing Cerrone to really set rhythm, you know. And then towards the end, he kind of started timing those kicks and countering those kicks with that hook cross, and you know that's what it was.
Yeah, did a good job.
Yeah. Congratulations to him, man. I wouldn't mind seeing a Masvidal versus Diaz.
Oh,
if Nick comes back. Both of them are boxers.
Yeah.
I don't think Masvidal is very takedown heavy or very grappler heavy.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
When does Nate come back?
It's up in the air. So everyone was hoping. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
He has to go to detox. He's like,
right. Everyone was hoping that they would be signed for 209, but both Nick and Nate are basically saying what Dana White is offering is not worth it.
Where else can they go? Bellator?
I'm sure they could. I just don't know if they want to, but they definitely
always
could.
Talk about boxing as well. But
yeah, Nate's talking about boxing.
They always talk about
I know Nick got offered Woodley, and Woodley said in an interview that what was being put on the table was not the right amount
on his end.
Just in general, like Woodley was saying, what they were offering me and what they were offering Nick, like I don't blame Nick for not taking that.
Yeah,
and then
they might be trying to punish him, you know, for his previous bad behavior and try to like say, all right, you play ball with us,
right,
and we'll start paying you more. But for now, you have to earn it back,
right.
Which probably doesn't suit Nick's personality very much.
No, I don't think it does.
But it's that kind of schoolboy, you know, school teacher dynamic where neither of them want to give each other anything. You know,
I think that's a good analogy.
They don't trust each other.
I think that's a really good analogy. They also offered Nick Damian Maia. Yeah, and same thing. I think it would be an interesting fight. I don't know how
Maia's on a 4-5 win streak.
Yeah,
like against good guys,
top dudes. I think they said something like in his last, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 fights, maybe 6. He's only been hit like 14 times.
Yeah, he
just not getting hit at all. I don't think that would be a fight that would fare well for Diaz. It would be an interesting fight in the jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu aspect of it, but I don't see that.
I can see him just climbing on him, sticking to him, and just beating him off for 5 rounds. And Nick flipping him off, but still good. Still coming out with 2 black eyes and
right,
2.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. What else? Oh, so apparently Anderson Silva is putting it out there that he wants to fight Conor McGregor.
Oh man,
how do you feel about that?
Anderson Silva, man. Anderson Silva is one of those falling stars that, like, I kind of wish he would just stop. Like, just get out of the game. Like, he's like an elder. You know, he's like an elder. He's like the guy from your neighborhood who's a legend. Like, if he just sat down and on his ass and did nothing, everyone would respect him for the rest of his days. But the more he tries to get involved, the more, and tries to keep up with the youngins, you know, the more he kind of looks a little silly, honestly. That's how it seems to me. He had a good performance against Nick Diaz. Mm-hmm. Decent performance. It was a good way to come back. But Nick kind of clowned him the whole fight, which is fine. But then he got done for, you know, he was on anti-anxiety and steroids and all sorts of shit. And we get it, but it's like, dude, if it's that, I mean, if it's not, obviously it wasn't meant to be. Just give it up. You did what you had to do. He took UFC to a whole new level.
Yeah.
He took MMA to a whole new level. He was the Muhammad Ali for me of the UFC, you know, except for the words. He wasn't a wordsmith, but in terms of his in the ring performance, he did magical things.
Yeah.
Magical things. And he paved the way for guys like Conor who are doing magical things now. And he should just leave it at that, you know.
There's so many reasons why I don't like that fight. For one, in Silva, you have a guy who has fought, although not his usual weight class.
He has way bigger than
yeah, he's fought at 205. You're talking to a dude who fought Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, against a dude who's fought
Jose Aldo. Like, there's no reason there's no reason for that call out to be happening. Like, if it's almost a no, other than the financial game, it's almost a no-win situation for Silva. Because if Silva beats Conor McGregor, it's like, great, you beat somebody how many weight classes below you? If he loses to Conor McGregor, it's like, oh, you got beat by somebody how many classes below you?
Yeah.
You know, there's no real gain to his legacy. And as you mentioned, you know, like, your legacy was cemented in place, and now you've kind of passed your prime and you're on the decline.
Yeah.
And the more you fight, the more you start to kind of tarnish that legacy.
Yeah, because that's what we remember of you. You stop remembering the Forrest Griffin fights and the, you know, insert the other, you know, 20 amazing UFC fights he had, and you start remembering, oh, remember when he broke his leg? Like, that's what people remember Anderson Silva for. Especially now with a whole new generation of, a whole new influx of MMA fans. I'm not sure everyone who watches MMA now saw the old Anderson Silva.
Right.
They just maybe saw after Weidman came in, and he got beat up in the first one, got knocked out, broke his leg in the second one. And, you know, since that first Weidman fight, it's been bad news for him, you know?
Ever since, and I said this when he had his first fight against Chael Sonnen, and I said it after his second fight with Chael Sonnen. His Chael Sonnen fights should have been his last fights.
Yeah.
You know?
I think he got clocked.
Yeah.
A big, aggressive American wrestler brawler type of fighter seemed to be his kind of kryptonite.
Yeah.
And I think he was just a little too old to adapt to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Well, and in addition to that, you know, and you see this with other fighters as well, where speed is a dominant part of their game plan, their reflexes. When you get older, that starts to go.
Yeah.
So the hands down, playing around, slipping everything, and, you know, being in the matrix works when you're young and your reflexes are fresh.
Yeah.
As you start getting older and those reflexes start to go, you're not able to do the same thing, but your muscle memory of that is still there. Yeah. And so now you're trying to play a game plan that your body is no longer fit for.
Yeah.
And I think that's gotten him into trouble as well.
Yeah, I mean, he might not care about his legend, but
yeah, that's true.
He might not give it. He might not care, about what the public perceive of him. But I mean, even if he wants to have a career post MMA as a coach or as a blah blah blah, it's still smart for him to kind of protect that legacy to some degree, to be smart with it. Interestingly though, like if we did take it for what it was and they did go ahead with that fight, it would be an interesting fight, I think.
It would be. I would definitely watch it.
Yeah,
I would watch it begrudgingly. But I don't like, and this is another one of the things I don't like about it is I feel like the new UFC management right now is getting a little bit freak show happy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I don't think they care about fighting. Yeah.
No, a freak show here and there.
Yeah.
Is
spices
good.
Things up, but otherwise you kind of just belittle the sport.
Absolutely.
The weight classes are there for a reason.
Absolutely.
We like the weight classes. I think. I don't think it should be like the old days where people were coming in fucking sweatpants into the.
Well, I mean, look, if you're gonna do that, then go all the way and make it that.
Yeah.
But you can't maintain. You can't maintain the credibility of the organization as a structured sport where we have weight classes. Yeah. And then just throw that out the window and have everybody doing everything. Have, the belts don't have credibility if every week you're making up a new interim and an interim's interim and an interim. You can't do that, You start to diminish the credibility of the structure of your own organization when you throw the rules out the window every other fight.
Yeah. And I think, again, we talk about Conor a lot. I think that wouldn't be happening without Conor McGregor. He did shift things up, but that doesn't mean you have to let one fighter dictate the whole sport.
Right.
Yeah, let everyone fight at every weight class on 2 weeks' notice. Yeah, that dude can do that, but not everyone should be doing that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like when there's hype for a fight, when I know that these two have been, talking about each other for 3 months, 4 months. They've been trying to fight for 6 months. Everyone's been talking about it, and then it happens. I like that. You know what I'm saying? But these random, kind of last minute changes and, 50-pound weight differences, as you said, it diminishes the structure.
On top of that, it's starting to look more plausible that there may be a McGregor-Mayweather.
Oh no, I think it's going to happen, dude.
It's looking like that may go down, man.
Just based on what Mayweather said. He's
that's
good for him, dude.
That's interesting.
I respect him more just for even saying it's a possibility of happening.
Yeah,
because he has a lot to lose.
Yeah, I think honestly that's a win-win fight for both of them.
Okay.
The chances. The statistical likelihood that Conor is going to beat Mayweather in pure boxing isn't very good.
Right. Which is why I feel that would be a lose-lose for Mayweather, because even if it's a close fight, what does Mayweather gain?
Well, here's how I see it. I think Mayweather wants to round out that undefeated to a solid 50, right?
Yeah.
And in his head, he's like, okay, I have an MMA guy here.
Yeah.
He's not going to fucking beat me in boxing.
Yeah.
I can get this easy paycheck, probably be the biggest paycheck this is going to be a huge paycheck. In addition to that, I round out my legacy, get that solid 5-0.
Yeah.
And on McGregor's part, it's like, again, if I decide to go play LeBron James one-on-one and I lose to LeBron James, it's like, fuck, I'm just some random dude and that's LeBron James. Like, what do you expect?
But you know, someone like Conor McGregor is a fighter and he talks about many styles of fighting. He always says things like that. And I get that. He's the type of dude who studied everything. He doesn't want to lose at anything.
I don't think he wants to, but I think the gain versus what he gains.
$100 million paycheck.
Yeah, $100 million paycheck and
50
being the. Oh, I'm sorry, you said Mayweather.
No, I'm talking about McGregor.
Okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
I got mixed up there. In addition to that, he would be the first UFC fighter to go and cross over into a major boxing
to go to the best boxer in the world.
Yeah.
The hardest to beat boxer in the world.
Absolutely. That would affect whether he wins or loses.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he had the gall to do that is a star
I
on
think
his
both of
on
them
his
would be doing it
plate.
for the sport too. Like McGregor would be saying, "Hey, look, MMA fighters can hang with boxers in boxing," and that's a big statement for MMA fighters because the boxing world doesn't give MMA that much credit. Yeah, you can pick someone up and slam them on the ground and beat them up while they're on the floor, but like pure fighting, you know, which is in the Western world is kind of boxing. That's that's pure fighting to us, you know. That's Marcus of Queensberry, like two gentle. You know what I'm saying? Real pugilism. That's boxing, and you guys can't do that. And it's showing, like Conor will show that. Hopefully, he'll show that the MMA fighters can hang in the boxing world. And then the boxers, you know, Mayweather for the boxing world will say, yeah, maybe you can hang, but we're still, you know, we're still just better than you. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this sport, which is the sport we love, we're better than you.
Yeah. Now, so here's the thing, though. With the Silva versus McGregor, assuming that were to happen, I think that lowers some of... let's say McGregor loses, right? I think that would lower some of his bargaining power in that setup. The fact that he is almost undefeated, McGregor, kind of gives him a little bit more star power, a little bit more leverage. Yeah. If he starts getting beat, leading up to this Mayweather fight, it kind of lessens some of the appeal. Who did he lose to in the MMA? Yeah, you talking about losing in MMA? Yeah, if he were to fight Silva, were to lose to Silva, not too far from the time that he, you know,
it's another freak show. You're right. It's another fucking freak show, and again, like you said, even for just each fighter, you can't do every fight as a freak show. Like you're really just throwing caution to the wind, and it's almost like you're not respecting your own career. Like, you know, to me, that's the way it seems. For him, he probably says, "Well, I can fight anyone, I don't care." But you know, for me, it's like, I mean, there's still so many good fights in MMA. I feel like we're even as a fan, like we're missing out on Conor in the UFC fighting UFC.
You know? Yeah, absolutely.
But again, he's so dominated Alvarez that it's like you can forgive him for being like, fuck it, I'm fighting what it's pay me and I'll fight, I don't give a shit.
Right. True that. What else? What's his name? Badr Hari is likely going back to jail.
Come back to that. I didn't even know he was in the first place until you told me.
Yeah, so apparently
makes sense though.
Makes sense?
Yeah, dude. Do you remember that stamp he did in the K1 final when he was losing?
No.
He let me see if I can pull up the video. No one can see it, but
don't pull it up if they're gonna have any audio or anything.
No.
Okay, cool. But apparently he has a penchant for like fucking up rich people, man.
Yeah, twice he did it.
Yeah. This most recent one that he had, I'm pulling it up right now. There's some like multi-millionaire that he was at a dance event in Amsterdam, and they get into it for whatever reason, and fucking Badr Hari starts like stomping this dude's ankles out, and I guess he served a portion of his jail time already, and for whatever reason they let him out and suspended some of the jail time, and now they're saying like, all right, you got like 6 more months left, we need you to come back and take care of this.
I know that he got like a year, and then he was like, nah, I don't want to do a year, so he tried to appeal it, and then they looked at it and they were like, a year is way too little. So he was trying to get it down from a year to 6 months. Like, a year is way too little. Now we're going up to 2 years or something like that. So it kind of backfired. He tried to like get it from a year down to 6 months, and he ended up putting it up to 2 years because apparently it was pretty bad.
Yeah. He starts. I mean, you know,
he broke
stomping someone's ankles out.
Yeah. And it was numerous incidents. It was 2 incidents.
Yeah.
As a fighter, on completely untrained. It was like another big rough guy. It was like 2 like entrepreneurs or nightclub owners or, you know, those types.
That's so weird. Like I wish the articles I'd seen on it kind of went more into what the
happened.
backstory was.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, is fucking Badr Hari secretly like a mob enforcer or some shit? You know, like what's going on here, man?
Yeah, I mean you can forgive him for that, but
yeah, dude,
that was good. So
that's cool.
There we go.
All right, so someone just got kicked to the floor.
No way, listen, that's a legit kick. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'll show it to you next time. He basically was losing a fight, K1 final fight. He did a kind of trip throw thing, which isn't really legal, and then decides to stamp on the dude's head.
Oh shit!
Yeah, while he's on the floor, which again in K1 is massively illegal. He's basically just lost his mind in the middle of the fight because he was losing. So he likes to stamp on people.
All right, fucking thumper over here.
UFC might give him a contract. One of those, one of those freak show fights.
Yeah, really. Go back to Pride rules.
Yeah. Overeem versus Hari.
That wouldn't be too bad. I'd actually watch that. Okay, so the the Association of Boxing Commission, the ABC, is talking about potentially allowing for referees for referees, but in MMA as well, to utilize the instant replay, right? So if there's a situation where maybe somebody there's a potential eye poke, or there's a knee to the groin, or something like that, it's something that will sway the decision of the fight. They're talking about letting the referees take that time to check the replay first before making a decision. I really like that idea. I really, really like that idea. There's so many times in, the UFC where somebody gets hit to the groins, there's a potential eye poke, there's a potential foul, somebody did something, was his hand on the floor when the knee hit him in the head, or was it not? Anderson Silva versus
Bisping.
Not Bisping, Chael Sonnen, the second one. Remember when he kneed him in the chest and it was unclear as to whether
they made a good decision, I think.
It was a good decision, but that type, what if, just hypothetically, it had not been to the chest? What if they actually had hit him in the face and they made the same decision? Checking that replay, I think, is a really good idea. I like it. I'm glad they're looking at that, and I hope that comes to fruition. Yeah. I hope they decide to bring that about. I'm looking up the article now and just give it a quick...
Yeah, things like eye pokes and groin kicks are very hard to spot for referees. Sometimes I'm like, all of a sudden, they're kind of pacing about, someone throws a jab, and then all of a sudden the guy's like doing all this stuff, holding his face and pushing the other guy away, and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I didn't see anything, and then you see the replay and you see that, the dude poked him in the eye. Yeah. Or the groin kick as well. Yeah. Most of the time they're telling the truth, but you said there was once with Anthony Johnson where he basically made up that he'd been poked.
I think it was Anthony Johnson versus Koscheck, if I remember, and I
remember him appealing for that eye poke very adamantly. Yeah, he was really kind of pissed at the whole situation.
And from what I remember, or rather, let me rephrase that, from what I read, it ends up being that was not a legit eye poke. Like, they went back, not the ref, but for the audience and the commentators, they were looking at the instant replay like, no, there was no eye poke there. So, that's, let's see. Okay. Instant replay could be coming to mixed martial arts. The Association of Boxing Commissions and Combative Sports, ABC, Rules and Regulations Committee for MMA, has passed the use of instant replay for fight finishing sequences. Committee Chair Sean Wheelock confirmed Tuesday with MMA Fighting. The proposed rule will be brought to the ABC body and voted on at its annual conference this summer in Connecticut. Paul Gift of Bloody Elbow was the first to report the development. The language of the proposed instant replay rule is intentionally limited in scope, Wheelock said. It says a referee may only use instant replay when he or she feels that a fight-ending sequence was possibly caused by an illegal action or a foul, whether intentional or unintentional. In other words, if a potential foul, an eye poke, blow to the groin, illegal knee, etc., leads to the finish of a fight, a referee has the discretion to go to the replay to determine whether or not the blow was legal or not, and what the fight result should, or how the fight result should be ruled. This is from SB Nation Fighting. The article is called ABC Rules Committee Passes Limited Use of Instant Replay in MMA. I only read a brief portion of it, so if you want to read the full thing, please go check out their article and, you know, dig into that a little bit more. But yeah, I dig it. I like it. I want to see it happen.
That would be interesting. So someone pokes someone in the eye and then finishes them, or kicks them in the groin and then knocks them out, and then afterwards they would check the replay?
Yeah, exactly. So you're
going to probably see a lot more DQs. Yeah.
And with, at the very least, for the eye poking thing, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That happens way too often.
Yeah, they're going to start the eye poking now.
Yeah. So having more DQs. Already the rules are harder on that now with the new unified MMA rules. So I'm excited about it. This is one of the areas of MMA where I'm like, okay, I think we're going in the right direction. You know, the freak show fights, not so much, but at least with this, it's like, all right, I like how things are shaping up.
I looked up the rules as well. A couple podcasts back, you mentioned about the new rules, and I looked it up, and it's really good. I think the changes they made are completely logical and they make sense.
Yeah,
I'm glad they're changing it. Scoring more on damage. I've always thought that the jiu-jitsu is so underrated in MMA. People trying to pull off submissions, attempting submissions from the bottom, you know, when they're on their back or whatever, when you're in the top, just attempting submissions gets no love from the judges.
Yeah.
You can pull off submissions all day. As long as you didn't land it, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always thought that's stupid because the sport is a spectacle and it's entertainment, and whatever gets you going ooh and ah, that should be rewarded, you know?
Yeah, especially if the guy on top is not doing anything.
Yes, especially with that lay and pray bullshit, man.
Like, I can understand if the guy on top is pounding you out and you're trying to throw some a submission and it's not working,
pounded,
then yes, I understand not giving that points. But if the guy is just holding you there, just stalling time, and you're actively trying to end the fight, you should be rewarded, if nothing else, for the fact that you're actively trying to end the fight.
Dude.
You know? So
and it gives a more positive mindset to the fighters too, you know. Now the fighters aren't worried about, oh, am I winning, am I losing? They're just worried about trying things, you know.
Yes.
You're gonna see almost a whole evolution of MMA from that mentality of people trying new things.
I think you're also gonna see more jiu-jitsu heavy guys sticking to their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I feel like for the last couple years, the rule set have been such that it's very heavily favored the stand-up artist.
Yeah.
Right? So even if you're not inherently a stand-up guy, it's gonna favor your pocketbook and your overall career better to try and hang and stand up.
Yeah, like who is great at jiu-jitsu who's dominating the sport?
For a while, Joe Lozon.
But was he I'm talking
dominating? Not dominating, that's true. The closest we have right now is Maya.
Maya's the best jiu-jitsu guy, and he's still, he's getting up there, but he's not like a household name.
No, not at all. Maya is not somebody who the casual fan is throwing around.
Yeah. And the casual fans will only start educating themselves on the sport when they have to. Wait, what's he doing? Why did he get points for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, now they're going to start looking up, this is how this game works.
Exactly.
Otherwise, jiu-jitsu looks so boring. For most fans, they look at jiu-jitsu and think it's the most boring thing in the world.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because it's so...
it's so intricate, man.
There's so much there to go into, and that's one of the reasons actually why I'm glad Mike Goldberg is no longer commentating. I'm glad they didn't get rid of Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan does a very good job of kind of explaining the nuances of what's happening and kind of the 2 or 3 steps ahead. Here's what this person is trying to do. Here's what the other guy is trying to prevent him to do. He does a really good job.
He makes it simple too. He's like, he needs to get his left knee, blah blah blah. You know, and it's for the casual fan. They get that,
right?
You know, he's not saying he needs to go for an omoplata. No,
what the fuck is omoplata?
What is that?
Right? Yeah, man. Not MMA related whatsoever. But this is more of a current event thing that I saw, and I just wanted to throw this out there. So apparently Emmett Tills' accuser admits that her accusations against Emmett Till were false.
Should we give a bit of background on Emmett Till?
Absolutely. So Emmett Till is a young kid. This whole thing starts like in 1955. Emmett Till is 14 years old. He goes into a store.
This is during segregation.
Yes, this is during segregation. Goes into a store. A white woman by the name of Caroline Bryant claims that he makes some lewd comments to her, grabs her by the hand. She like, oh my gosh, no! And like goes over to...
She's all innocent.
Right, of course. She's innocent and offended. She runs off to her, I believe, sister, and 14-year-old Emmett Till walks up to her, grabs her by the waist, and starts, making comments about like, oh, don't worry, girl, I've been with a white woman before, and da-da-da. And like, it's just being super, super physically and verbally aggressive. By her words, some other black guy comes and grabs Emmett Till, and they go outside. Emmett Till gets in the car, and Wolf whistles at her as they drive away. This ended up resulting in Emmett Till's death by way of her husband and a couple other individuals. They basically beat him to death. Gouged his eyes out, wrapped him in barbed wire, shot him in, like, just went way, 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 way over the top.
It's bad. It's really super bad. As bad as you think it is, it's worse than that. Like, what happened?
I would definitely suggest Googling Emmett Till open casket for anyone who's not familiar. His mother, after the body was found,
I'm not sure I want to see that, to be honest.
It's pretty bad.
That's probably pretty bad.
It's very bad. But his mother, decided that she wanted to do an open casket because she wanted to send a message on just how severe the situation was and just how bad of a situation things were socially. The fact that you have a group of grown men who were willing to do something like this to what is a boy over...
And get away with it.
Legally,
they went to court. They went through the motions of rounding these people up, the main people, and taking them to court and trying them, and then after an hour, they let them off.
Yeah.
That's like when you shoplift when you're 10, but your mom is friends with the shopkeeper.
That's exactly what that's like. That's exactly what that's like. It's crazy. So now
anyway,
so I'm on the Wikipedia page here, and just briefly, Emmett Louis Till, July 25th, 1941 to August 28th, 1955, was an African-American teenager who was lynched in Mississippi at the age of 14 after reportedly flirting with a white woman. The brutality of his murder and the fact that his killers were acquitted drew attention to the long history of persecution of African Americans in the United States, and Till posthumously became an icon of the civil rights movement. Till was from Chicago, Illinois, and visiting relatives in Money, a small town in the Mississippi Delta region. He spoke to a 21-year-old Caroline Bryant, the married proprietor of a small grocery store there. Several nights later, Bryant's husband and his half-brother J.W. Milliam went to Till's great-uncle's house and abducted the boy. They took him away and beat and mutilated him before shooting him and sinking his body in the Tallahatchie River. 3 days later, Till's body was discovered and retrieved from the river. Till's body was returned to Chicago. His mother, who had mostly raised him, insisted on a public funeral service with an open casket to show the world the brutality of the killing. The open coffin funeral held by Mammy Till Bradley exposed the world to more than her son Emmett Till's bloated, mutilated body. Her decision focused attention not only on American racism and the barbarism of lynching, but also on the limitations and vulnerabilities of American democracy. Just a little random fact out there, something that's not known is this Emmett Till case actually played a much bigger role in the grander scheme of the civil rights movement, including Rosa Parks, who kind of stated that it was this situation which was a large motivating factor and one of the primary things that was going through her mind when she decided not to get up off the bus, when she decided to maintain her seat and all of that. And what's really unfortunate is the lady now is 82 years old, and she's admitted through a couple books
in a 2008 interview first made public in 2017, Caroline Bryant, the lady, disclosed that she had fabricated her testimony and that Till had made verbal or physical advances toward her. So, did she say what this kid actually did do? What Emmett Till did do?
From the articles I've read, it doesn't specify that. It simply said that she's admitted that she lied about him touching her, making any kind of physical contact. And I think there was a couple where they implied that, she wasn't being forthright about the verbal aspect of it either. But either way, what's unfortunate is she's essentially going to get away with this scot-free. There's some people talking about, maybe having some charges pressed for lying to the FBI and obstruction of justice and things like that. But I guess there's like a 5-year window where you can make something happen with that, and it's well beyond that at this point. So, it's on one hand, I'm glad to see that the story behind that has come out. It's not just
that's important.
Well, we believe that she made this up. No, she admitted to it. On that side of things, I'm glad that clarity is there. On the other hand, it's just kind of disappointing and sad that or anticlimactic, I guess is maybe a better word.
I mean, it goes without saying that what she did was terrible. What happened to this kid is terrible. What happened to vast amounts of black people pre-civil and just, throughout times, it's terrible. This is not that isolated, is it? This happened to other people too. This just happened to got more, publicity. Look at it from this woman's perspective. How do you see change that now? How does that, if you try to look at it from her perspective, how do you see that now?
What do you mean?
Do you give her any credit for telling the truth now? Do you think that maybe she didn't mean for him? Is there any redeeming factor? Is she as bad as you thought she was prior to this? Did she maybe not mean for Emmett Till to be? Did she not think that her husband would do that, or half brother or whatever would do what they did?
It's hard to say without having read the books that she has made her admission in. I don't feel like this was a hugely redeeming factor for her, and the reason that she came clean. And the reason why I say that is she's 82, she's on her way out. I'm sure she lawyered up before making her statement and kind of realized there's not going to be any real legal repercussion.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That's almost certain. That
so basically, I feel kind of bad about this. I'm going to die soon, so I just want to get this off my chest.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe. Again, I didn't read the books. I don't know everything she said, but that is my suspicion. And in that, you sat on this for how many decades? I don't really particularly feel like you've redeemed yourself by admitting to this, when you're going to die in another 2 years, Man, talk about a downer. Man,
this is important stuff, though.
It is. Anything else? Any other current events? Anything in particular as of late that?
We're going to talk about Super Bowl. Do you watch football?
I don't watch any ball and net sports.
Really?
If let's say you have
no net in football, though.
Well, yeah, I just say ball and net to incorporate all.
Just any non-MMA sports.
Yeah, the only sports I watch really are fighting sports. If I go to someone's house who's having a party, and that's what they're playing there. Yeah, I'll watch it and I'll try to get into it. But you'll never just catch me on my own.
You don't have a fantasy football draft or whatever?
Not at all. No. Not at all. I can't tell you who plays on what team. I can probably name 3 teams
but
at
people
most.
Get so, it's hard, like, because people get so into it. Into, like, dudes basically have nothing to talk about. So we make you like sports. Yeah. Sports like is a great way of just making things less awkward to you. 2 people who never met each other.
Yeah, that's
2
true.
people. I've watched it. 2 people who have nothing in common, don't know any, completely different cultures, different ages, blah blah blah, will sit at a function, a gathering. You know, maybe their girlfriends are friends. They don't really want to be there, but then sports will come off. Bang! They're gone for 2 hours. That's it. They're good, and I've always admired that because I like sports, but I like my English sports. I like basically football and MMA. And MMA until recently was pretty under the radar counterculture. There was a specific group who loved it, and anyone who's into MMA used to be that every other sport was bullshit, pretty much. You know, to some extent, or at least MMA was
the
top of the trough. Yeah. But now it's kind of a bit more mainstream, I think. But I didn't have anyone to talk about soccer with. I didn't have anyone to talk about MMA with. So I kind of I've kind of forced myself to get into other sports. And I do, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I do like football specifically, American football. I do have an appreciation for America. I cannot be bothered to keep up with. There's so many players and there's so many stats and there's so much shit going on, you know. With football, but watching it is at least the highlights is great. I think it is a great sport. And the Super Bowl, I gotta admit, I was very entertained by the Super Bowl. I did actually watch it. It's probably the first football game that I've actually sat and watched, and I didn't get up during the commercials to go, do something else or whatever. I actually sat and I watched the whole thing, and I thought it was a great, probably the. I haven't seen any other Super Bowls, but I'd be shocked if there were any better ones than that.
Okay. Yeah. Who are you rooting for?
Oh, no one.
Okay.
That's why I liked it. Okay. I didn't have any emotions in the game. I saw one team absolutely blitz the other team.
Right.
And then start to get sensitive and then start to get in their head and start to, lose that kind of
momentum.
That momentum. There was a big momentum shift, and it happened in the last quarter, and then bam, bam, bam. Everything Patriots did was just gold from that point.
It's interesting. I find with things like that, let me rephrase that. For sports like that, what is more interesting to me than the actual sport itself is kind of the psychological components.
A huge psychological component in football.
Because really, all your sports are just symbolic warfare, right? And this is why it gives men something to talk about. Yeah. By nature, men are the more warring of the two sexes, and it becomes a metaphor. It becomes a socially sanctioned way for us to go to war with each other, and it becomes an outlet for that aggressive side of ourselves. And the idea of here, your goalpost, my territory, your territory. And the whole goal of the game is for me and my tribe or my battalion or whatever we're going to make the analogy of, is to take up land and intrude ourselves into your territory and take what's yours.
That's interesting.
And I think that's where a lot of the big... When you see people get like super fucking hyped up and like, this is my team, and they're like fucking crying.
Yeah, they feel like it's on some level it's their, that's their land. That's how it feels to them. This is where I'm going to plant my crops, and this is
my babies are going to play here. Yeah. So in that aspect, watching the game or watching more intriguingly to me, the people who are watching the game is interesting. But as far as like the who's running what, and that's, you might as well be speaking in Greek or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on, man. Yeah, brother. What time are we? What are we at? We're at about 49 minutes. I think I don't have anything in particular other than this that I wanted to bring up. Did you have anything else you want to touch on?
No, not today, man.
All right, brother. Well, as always, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too.
To the listeners, thank you for tuning in again, and we will see you next time.
All right.